Welcome to Low Man Help. I'm Mark Campbell, and today we're looking at Paul George, Game 4 versus the Dallas Mavericks. Huge night for George, big win for the Clippers. Today we're going to look at core 3 changes. Change of speed, levels, and direction. We're going to get into how you can make these changes on the ball or off the ball, and how good core 3 changes can put you ahead of the play, so at the inflection point, you're making great reads, whether it's early help, late help, or no help. I'm excited about this edit. Let's get into it. All right, getting into Paul George here, and we're going to look at 3 straight empty corner pin downs, and the Clippers run this action a lot for him. He's really effective in it, not just for himself, but for the team, making good reads, making sure they get a good shot, not that he gets a good shot. And one of the things that makes him so effective is every single cut he sets up with a great core 3 change. So core 3 change, we got change of speed, change of levels, change of direction. And every single time you see him setting up a screen, he's going to have these actions going. So for this one, he walks Jones down, and then he's going to get a core 3 change of he's going to go high to low here, he's going to go slow to fast, and he's going to go from walking down to driving out. So those are going to be his core 3 changes. He does a really good job, and he's ahead of the play. He's already ahead of the play. So the next thing that George does really well is he reads his primary and his secondary coverage when he's working in off screens. And so because he's such a good shooter, he usually gets his primary reads really early. So this is going to end up being lock and trail coverage, and any shooter knows that if you gap me, I'm going to flare it and shoot it. So lock and trail leads you to curl the action. So he already knows right now what his read is because he can feel where Jones is, right? I think one thing when you think about reading any two-man games, I heard Steve Nash say this once, you want to feel yours and see his. So he does a great job of feeling where Jones is here. He can feel where Jones is and know what the coverage is and not have to look at him. And then he can start focusing immediately on seeing Gafford, right? Seeing his seeing Zubac and reading from there. So this is really nice from George, and he immediately starts reading. He feels where Jones is, he knows he's curling this, and he immediately starts reading Gafford and understands this is 2v1 basketball. So it's him until it's not. Because when you're playing 2v1 basketball, it's much easier to switch your mindset from trying to make it in the rim, which is 18 inches, to trying to throw it in a 4-foot area where somebody could catch a lob. It's very difficult to switch from looking at a 4-foot area to trying to make it in an 18-inch area. And Paul George does a great job of winning early by using core 3 changes and then making great reads of early help, late help, or no help to win late. All right, next empty corner pin here for George. The Clippers camouflage it a little bit. This comes out of Floppy, but it's still the same read. It's empty corner, and it's a pin down. So George, again, every single one, he's a great actor. You know, when you think about core 3 changes, you want to think about acting. You want to think about telling a story to your defender. So as you're looking here, we're looking at speed, levels, and direction. So he goes slow to fast, right? That's our speed. He goes left to right, right? He acts like he might come out the other side on the double, goes left to right, change of direction. And then levels, he goes high to low, right? So this is a really nice job of setting up, being a good actor. That's what core 3 changes is all about. Speed, levels, direction. And right now he's got the step and he's got a read. At this point, this whole feel yours, he's already felt where Jones is. Jones is like, oh shit, and Jones is trailing. So he already knows that he's curling this action. He has his read. Now it becomes about seeing his. He already can focus now because he had a great core 3 change and he won early. He can already focus on what Zubac's defender is doing. So he feel yours, see his. So when he comes around on this curl, he immediately starts looking. He sees that Lively comes out. And this is a simple read for him. As soon as he gets to this point, he doesn't have to look back to see what Jones is doing. He already knows that Jones is terrified and he's trying to stop him from shooting. So he's done the work early with a core 3 change, reads Lively, and makes a great pass. And now it doesn't matter what happens from here. When you think about offense, it's all about creating an advantage where you can put a team and help to rotations. So George does his job here. And this is a great play by Lively. This just happens to be phenomenal. To be able to help on this and then go get back and block this, Luka and everybody slows him down, but to get back there and be able to contest this, maybe it's Kleba who gets it. This is just phenomenal defense. But a great job by George. Core 3 change, feel yours, see his, win early to give yourself a chance to win late. All right, last empty corner pin here for George, and another great job of core 3 changes and then making good reads from an advantage position. Early help pass, late help finish, no help you. This is just so good, and I think one of the things that George does really well, Clippers run this a lot, and it's to get good shots for the Clippers. It's like the pop line for Kawhi when he became great was when he realized plays for him are not for him to score, but for the team to score. And George does a really nice job of understanding that concept. So core 3 change here. We got high to low, baseline to out, and then slow to fast. This is perfect core 3 change from George. He's being a really good actor. He's using Jones's fear against him. You can see right here, this step from Jones, we're going to watch 2 steps. This step is really about, I think Jones is thinking maybe I might top lock this, so get on top of the screen and force George backdoor where he has help. And so George reads that, and George sets up this cut, which creates the fear and this step from Jones. You can barely see it on the SoFi, but this step comes from great core 3 change. And again, all you need is one step. That's all you need, just one step. And that core 3 change creates this moment of panic. And because he has a great core 3 change, you can see how far behind the play Jones is. He sets him up with a great cut, and that forces, right? George already knows. Feel yours, see his. So George already knows this guy's out of the play. It's immediately reading what P.J. Washington does. And P.J. Washington sees the panic, steps up, and George makes a phenomenal read. And it all comes from this action. Core 3 change, win early, wins late, and then this is such a good read from Westbrook. Talk about whims, where is my space, where can I get the ball? This cut, as soon as he sees low man help from Kleba does a nice job of reading the play. He comes over, and as soon as Westbrook sees that, he knows this is an action where I can either spot up and shoot this shot, but that might not be my biggest strength. So he makes a decision, I'm going to beeline into this cut. So again, great offense from the Clippers, and it all comes from setting up the cut with a great core 3 change, winning early, and then making a good read from where the help comes from. All right, so we looked at a few core 3 changes off the ball for George. Now we're going to look at some on the ball. So anytime we're thinking about core 3 changes, it's always trying to remain in rhythm and on balance. So it doesn't matter if you have the ball in your hands or if you don't. So this from George is really nice. And just like shot prep footwork is 3 steps, everything when you move your body in combination, rhythm and balance with the basketball, you're moving in 3 steps. So right here, we're looking at power, load, and then you want to be able to make yes or no reads at this point. Am I outside of my defender's frame? Is my defender dropping, or is he outside my frame? So when you get to this point, this is when you want to be asking yourself yes or no questions on this step. And so George does a great job of creating fear, creating a yes or no read for himself, but more so moving with these core 3 changes. So this is speed, levels, direction. This is high to low, low to high, slow to fast, fast to slow, going left, hips open left to hips open right. So it doesn't matter if you don't have the ball or if you do, core 3 changes are everywhere. And he does a really nice job of being able to move and open up space for himself to get a wide open shot. But everything comes back to being a good actor. Speed, levels, direction. All right, we're looking at another great core 3 change here from Paul George. Change of speed, levels, direction. This time we're in the secondary break. George pushing off a rebound. And once you win early with great core 3 changes, neutral to attack moments, it's all about making simple yes or no reads with help. Early help equals pass, always. This is a great job by George of creating a neutral to attack moment with good core 3 changes, and then reading early help equals pass. And not worrying about what happens from here, just creating great offense for his team. So this is core 3 changes with the ball. So we've got to skip here. And when you think about core 3 changes, we always want to create neutral to attack moments. That's when you're at your best. Neutral, this is when the core three changes are happening. You get a chance to read, and then you get to go into optionality of reading yes or no questions and attacking. So this skip here from George, we're going to go left, left. This skip creates neutral. Neutral is always a change of speed. Fast to slow, slow to fast. Neutral is always a change of levels, high to low, low to high. And then change of direction is based off of what your reads become. So George doesn't necessarily have to change direction of I'm going to go this way, right? He's reading where he's at on this step based on Kyrie Irving right here. So this is a great read of change of direction in terms of there's no direction to change, right? Because if he's outside of Kyrie's frame, when we go power load here, we want to be able to continuously think yes or no. So if he's outside of his frame, great. I want to keep busting this down. So that neutral to attack moment gives him that opportunity to read what's going on. And this is all set up by great core three changes. And then when he gets to this point, it's super simple. It's the same thing as reading a secondary defender off screen. This is our help guy. If this is early help over here, then it's very simple of this needs to be a pass. And George does a really nice job of thinking of we, not me. And this is something you want from your best players because that's when it gets special. All right, last one here from George. We're getting another great on-ball core three change, speed, levels, direction, neutral to attack, winning early to give yourself a chance to win late. And George played at his own pace all night. He did a really nice job, whether he was on the ball or off the ball, of creating early wins and then reading the game well. So one thing that these early wins do is they give you a chance to see the picture for longer. So right now you can see George gets his head up and he's just reading Gafford right now. Is this going to be early help and I can pass, or is it going to be late help and I finish? But by getting his head up this early and having this much space, it also gives him an opportunity to read help the helper. And this gives him more time. If you're making the reads down here, sometimes you don't get to see that. But by getting his head up early, by making these reads early, he gets to see, does help the helper come and I should be going to the corner, or does help the helper stay and I should be going to the dunker spot? And all that comes from winning early as you possibly can to giving yourself more time. So George does a great job up here. This is where the win happens. This is where the core three changes. When he skips this foot around, when he skips it around, he's going to get his core three changes. Speed, he's going to go slow to fast. Levels, he's going to go high to low. Directions, he's going to go sideline hips to baseline hips. And that's going to set him up for success in terms of winning early and allow him the opportunity to read the game and make a great play late. All right, that's a wrap on Paul George, Game 4 versus the Mavs. It was an awesome night for George. Big win for the Clips. Going back home, best of 3 now. 2 games will be in LA. Really excited to see how this one plays out. This is my favorite series going right now. To me, this is peak Paul George. When he's playing as a secondary ball handler, he's playing off screens, he's playing off help and rotation situations. That's when he's at his best. When he's asked to be the primary guy or ball handler, I don't think that's sustainable. He can really crank it up and do that for spurts, but when he gets to mix in primary ball handler, secondary ball handler, off screens, spot up, that's where he's the best version of himself, and he's a deadly, deadly player. I think young players really gravitate towards watching guys that dribble 10, 15 times in a possession. That's, you're in your bag. That's fun stuff, but Paul George's bag of core three movements when he's setting up screens or when he has the ball and being efficient with dribbles, to me, that's something that every player should be watching because that's how basketball's played. Basketball is played in simple movements, being a good actor, setting up cuts, speed, levels, direction, and then making simple reads once you've created the advantage. And George did a phenomenal job at that in Game 4. He always does a really good job. He's a special player, and I'm really excited to see how the rest of the series goes, and depending on who wins, how they move forward in the next round, and as they progress in the playoffs, how he cranks it up. I think this is a prove-it year for those guys, and I'm excited to see how George finishes out. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Catch you on the next one.